Pakistan and Afghanistan witness crisis very frequently. Every few months, Pakistan and the two countries end up locking horns, border closures, skirmishes, blame games. But this story didn't start with the Taliban or the TTP. It began much earlier in 1893 in Kabul, when a British diplomat and an Afghan king drew a line through the mountains, a line that outlived empires and still divides hearts. Welcome to Axis Pakistan. I am Omer Farooq Khan, and today we are tracing the 130-year story of that border, the Durand Line. How it began, how it kept haunting both sides, and what it means today. Let's rewind to 1893. In Kabul, Amir Abdurrahman Khan, known as the Iron Amir, meets Sir Mortimer Durand, the Foreign Secretary of British India. They sign an agreement not to divide families but to define spheres of influence. That became the Durand Line, roughly 2,640 kilometers long from the icy Wakhan corridor all the way down to the deserts of Balochistan. For decades, things stayed quiet, no serious objections, no border drama, until 1947 when Pakistan came into being. When Pakistan was born, Afghanistan refused to recognize the Durand Line as an international border. In fact, it was the only country that voted against Pakistan's admission to the United Nations. Kabul's logic was simple. We signed the treaty with the British, not with Pakistan. And that's where the whole Pashtunistan issue began. The dream of uniting all Pashtuns on both sides of the line. It was loud, emotional, and dangerous. There were jirgas, meetings of tribal elders, tribal chiefs in tribal regions, Tira, Bajawar, and Mumand, as well as adjacent districts with the former tribal regions like Banu and Lucky Marwat. So meetings and jirgas were held. Fiery speeches were made in Kabul, and even armed incursions under the banner of Greater Pashtunistan took place. This was followed by Afghanistan opening its doors to anti-Pakistan figures, Baloch nationalists, Pashtun leaders, and militant groups like Al-Zulfikar. Each move deepened mistrust. Soon, hostility became policy and diplomacy turned into firefighting. But there was a brief window in the mid-1970s when things almost changed. When Sardar Daud Khan came to power in Kabul, he wanted to modernize Afghanistan and mend ties with Islamabad. At that time, General Ziaul Haq had just taken charge in Pakistan, and by many accounts, both sides were this close to reaching an understanding, even on the Durand Line. Dawood needed stability and trade. Pakistan wanted calm western border, western frontier. It looked promising until history intervened. In 1978, Dawood was assassinated during the communist Saur revolution, and within a year, Soviet tanks rolled into Afghanistan. Whatever progress had been made disappeared overnight. Then came 1979, the Soviet invasion. For the next decade, Pakistan became Afghanistan's rare base. Millions of refugees crossed into Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan. The CIA, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan's own agencies backed the Mujahideen. Ironically, Both countries were on the same side, yet still didn't agree on where that side began. The Durand Line issue was quietly shelved, not resolved, just ignored during the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. Uh, Fast forward to today, and the landscape looks completely different. The old Pashtunistan slogan that once dominated Afghan and tribal politics, it's long gone inside Pakistan. People in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan have moved on. They care about jobs, inflation, education, security, not border fantasies from the past. But across the border, in Kabul's official lens, the issue still lingers as unsettled question that can be raised whenever relations turn bad or sour. It's it's no longer a people's cause, it's a political tool. Inside Pakistan, the nationalist parties that once championed this cause have lost much of their ground. The Awami National Party, once a strong regional force, has been in visible decline. Its leadership has struggled to stay relevant, its narrative has faded, and its connection with younger Pashtuns has weakened. In political terms, it's breathing on the margins. Into that vacuum came the PTI with its populism, youth energy, and anti establishment appeal. It completely changed Khyber Pakhtunkhwa's political map. So, yes, the slogan of Pashtunistan nationalism has been replaced by slogans of change, justice, and governance. But while the politics have evolved, the security concerns remain sharp. Pakistan today accuses the Taliban-led government in Kabul of harboring groups like the TTP, the BLA, and the Majid Brigade, responsible for deadly attacks inside Pakistan. Kabul, however, denies it, and the cycle of accusation and denial keeps spinning. So the argument has changed from whose land is this to who's attacking from across it. The Durand line may now be fenced, but the trust deficit is still wide open. And just this week or today, I would say on today's Friday, that mistrust has turned violent again. It has turned violent again. A fragile 48-hour ceasefire between Pakistan and Afghanistan is about to expire, and tensions are already boiling over. According to reports, a suicide car bomber backed by the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan attacked a military compound in Mir Ali, North Waziristan. Details of casualties are still emerging. Some officials say three attackers were killed with no troops losses. Others, including news agencies like Reuters, report that seven Pakistani soldiers died when an explosive laden vehicle slammed into the camp's wall. Whatever the exact toll, the message is grim. As the truce nears its end, the border is bleeding again. So, from 1893 to 2025, the argument hasn't really disappeared, it just evolved. Once it was about maps and lines, now it's about militants and sanctuaries. And every new attack like the one in North Waziristan, reminds both sides that history here never really ends. It just repeats with new actors. The Durand Line, drawn 132 years ago, was meant to be a line of control. Instead, it became a line of contention. For Pakistan, it's a settled border. For Afghanistan, it's an unfinished business. And for the people who live along it, it's just home. A home politics keeps dividing. I personally grew up near that frontier, and I've always felt this border, Durand line, isn't just a line on a map, it's a mirror. And until that mirror reflects trust instead of suspicion, the ghost of 1893 will keep walking these mountains. You've been listening to Axis Pakistan. I'm Omer Farooq Khan. Join me next time as we look at how the ghosts of this border still shape Pakistan's Afghan policy and what that means for the region's future.